Presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson goes on the record. Now, the pediatric neurosurgeon turned top-tier candidate is talking Leader McCarthy, his message to his critics, and his brand new book, A More Perfect Union. Right now, Dr. Ben Carson going on the record. Dr. Carson, nice to see you, sir.
Hey, nice to see you, Greta.
Dr. Carson, you have a new book out, A More Perfect Union, which discusses the entire Constitution. But let me focus in on just one part right now, which you talk about the Speaker of the House, in which you say that you talk about the enormous power to promote a bill or suppress it. We have big Speaker of the House news today in Washington. What's your thought now that Kevin McCarthy, the majority leader, says he's not running?
Well, I thought it was an incredibly magnanimous thing for him to move off to the side for the sake of the party. And you don't see very much of that self-sacrificing in Washington these days, so kudos to him. You know, I hope it opens the process up. I hope that those who are running will now have an opportunity to really make a pitch that everybody will be listening to, because we do need unity, we need enthusiasm on behalf of the entire party. And I think it's possible to get that if this is done the right way.
Well, it certainly seems like people have dug their heels in. There's one group that has essentially been, sort of led the revolt, for lack of a better word. You even have former Governor Huckabee saying that it's about burning the corrupt Washington political machine to the ground and rebuilding our country. So there's a lot of fighting words. It doesn't sound like there are a lot of, work things out type words.
Well, there may be other people who are going to throw their hat in the ring, or maybe some of the ones who've done it already have the ability to bridge the gap. We all want the same kinds of things, but the key thing is that the voters, the people, have been sending people to Congress now for the last 3 sessions with the hope of changing the direction, and we're not seeing that. We need somebody with some fire in their belly who's willing to really stand up for that, but who can work with all sides at the same time. If there are people who don't want to do that, they probably aren't the right people anyway, and we need to make sure we know who they are as well.
Hey, Getty, I mean, who's sort of appealing to you? I realize you don't have a vote, I don't have a vote, but, what kind of, do you have any names of people who might be appealing? I
would rather wait and hear what they have to say. Let them make their spiel.
All right. And as you note in your book, you don't even have to be a member of Congress. As you note in your book, anyone can be Speaker of the House. They can vote anybody. But we should expect someone who will be in Congress and Republican. All right. I heard you speaking to CBS's Gayle King about President Obama going to Oregon. And the discussion went out a little bit, and you said, I would not pick and choose which groups I sympathize with. And that was in response to the fact that some have been critical of President Obama going to Oregon and some are praising him. How do you avoid sort of picking and choosing?
Well, you'll notice that his sympathies seem to be ideologically based. When, for instance, a person is killed by the police, a black person, that becomes a big deal. But when a policeman is killed, barely a mention. That probably is not a balanced approach. When somebody is killed by, an illegal person who's here illegally, that's a real tragedy. The Kate Steinle situation, why is that kind of ignored? And my only point is, if he had a tendency to look at all of these in an equal manner and share his condolences and encouragement in an equal manner, then I don't think there would be the resentment.
And I take it you're saying that he's not doing this in an equal manner.
Absolutely not.
All right. Now, in your book, you also talk about the press, and you say, in part, you talk at some point the majority of members of the press will once again align themselves with the interests of the American people and reject partisan politics and manipulation. That's in your new book. What do you mean by that?
Well, what we have now is a press that picks sides. We have some press on the right, most of the press on the left, and they have an agenda. And they specifically go out and try to push that agenda. And if there are people that they oppose, they will, distort stories and emphasize the wrong kinds of things to try to move the opinion in their direction. That was not their purpose. Their purpose was to keep the American people informed so that they could make good, rational decisions. And what they need to recognize is if they contribute to the downfall of this nation, they're going to go down with the nation too. So they should be looking for ways that we can uplift this nation.
I was speaking to Governor Christie yesterday in New Hampshire, and obviously a little bit of a gimme as a governor, and I asked him what he thought was the best qualifications for president, and I admitted that that is a little bit of a gimme since I was talking to him. But here's what he had to say, because I asked him about about business people and even about being a doctor, and here's what the governor said.
I just think the governor's better suited, and you look at some of our greatest presidents, they've been governors.
All right, doctor. As experience.
As experience, I just don't think it's relevant.
At all?
No.
So you come to this race with a background that's much different than anybody else as a doctor. How do you make the case that that's a relevant background for the voters?
Well, our government was designed with the citizen in mind, and the citizen statesman, not the lifetime politician. And I believe that I've had a lot of experiences in life that many of the politicians have not had, including living at every socioeconomic level, being appointed at a very young age director of pediatric neurosurgery at Hopkins, which wasn't even on the map at that time, and building the program to the point where in 2008, U.S. News and World Report ranked it #1 in the nation, of sitting on corporate boards, 18 years on Kellogg, 16 on Costco, chairman of the board of a biotech company, Vaccinogen, starting a national scholarship program active in all 50 states, which has won major national awards that are only given to one organization in the country. These are accomplishments that I think many people in the political realm have not had, but I think are all incredibly relevant. And what's most relevant is the ability to solve complex problems and to work with others to use that synergy in order to solve those problems. We have some amazingly talented people in this country, and the wisest man who ever lived, Solomon, said, in the multitude of counselors is safety, and they shouldn't all be people that agree with you on everything.
Well, I should add that he was also dismissive of experiences being a U.S. senator and also a business person, because you can't just fire people. So he didn't just pick out your background. So he was equal opportunity on that.
Well, everybody thinks whatever they do is the most important thing, and I realize that.
We sure do, and we think that way in our business too. Anyway, brand new book, A More Perfect Union. Dr. Carson, I hope you come back. I look forward to talking to you again, sir.
Thank you, Greta.